Good morning, Year 4. How are you? Welcome to today's reading session. In today's session, you're going to go back to vocabulary, thinking about how to give the meaning of words in context. So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to pick out key words from a question to really understand what it's asking you. You'll be able to find those keywords in a text and really read around those keywords to try and find what the meaning of the word is. And then you'll be able to copy a direct word from the text that you can use as your answer for today's questions. So thinking about what you read yesterday, can you remember the following 4 questions? Again, if you have someone next to you, have a chat with them. If you don't, that's fine. Have a think in your head. It's really important that you do these retrieval questions though, just to remember what happened yesterday. Pause the video and have a think, please. Okay, where did they want to meet when this was all over? That's right, they wanted to meet in London. Do you remember what building they wanted to meet at? That's right, it was called the Ritz, wasn't it? What happened on the 4th day of travelling on the river? That's right, the river, the water became a bit different. It became a different colour. It was a bit dark. Number 3, what did they arrive at when they travelled another 5 minutes of dark water? They arrived at the mouth of a lake, didn't they? So a big lake. And then Lila looked up and she said she was terrified of heights. Super job. So one of the words today comes from the quote, his mutinous weight threw Fred's normal climbing rhythm off. The word is mutinous. It's an adjective. It has 3 syllables, mute in us, and it means when you refuse to obey the orders of someone. So you can see here that his mutinous weight, if they're throwing Fred's normal climbing rhythm off, whose weight is it? Who is the other he in the story? Max. So Max obviously is refusing to obey someone, so his weight is the refusal. We could say there was a mutinous look in her eyes. So this girl here, she's got her arms folded. She's thinking, no, I'm not going to do what you say. I am going to be rebellious. I am going to be disobedient. And you can see that she is looking in your eyes, and you can see in her eyes, she is not going to follow your instructions. Some might say that year 4 might be mutinous, but are you? No, you're not, are you? Because you're a lovely year group. You never refuse to obey. If someone asks you to do something, you are very polite. You always do it. An antonym for mutinous would be obedient and compliant. So when you're doing as someone asked you, you're very obedient and compliant. The second word today comes from the book quote, he retreated and moved sideways, agonizingly slowly. And it's this word agonizingly. It's an adverb. It describes how something is being done. It's got 5 syllables this time, agonizingly. And it means where you're causing great physical or mental pain. So this person is obviously moving slowly, but really painfully slowly or excruciatingly slowly. And you can see this person here is getting quite frustrated because she's in such pain or physical or mental pain. And we could say that I was listening to the teacher speak agonizingly slow. The teacher was speaking painfully slow, but I think I speak very fast, so you probably won't ever use that to talk about me, but you could use that in a sentence too. Let's start a new chapter today then, all about this at the top of the cliff. Now we know that Lila looked up and she said she was terrified of heights. What was up there? We shall see. A great cliff rose up from the jungle covered in vines. It was 50 times as tall as Fred. The rock face would have been grey, but it was so covered in foliage. What do you think that is? Foliage is like lots of greenery, so lots of vegetation, lots of plants, that it seemed to rise from the earth like a growing thing, a great green extension of the jungle floor. That's what the black square meant, breathed Fred. Oh no, whispered Con. I don't want to do this. Lila's hand, clutching back on her shoulder, was shaking. Fred, could you climb that? Fred swallowed. Definitely. He lied. He stared at the great green expanse. It would be like climbing a green cathedral, he thought. We all could. There'll be so many handholds. It'll be like climbing a ladder. And that's where there's different places to put your hands up this cliff. Max can't climb ladders, said Lila. Then one of us could strap him to their back with lianas, said Fred. I just don't think, began Con. But Fred had never wanted anything as much as he wanted Sorry about that, year 4. I just started coughing on my own breath, I think. Really sorry about that. Let's continue where we left off. But Fred had never wanted anything as much as he wanted to know what was at the top of the cliff. Where would we go if we turn back now? He said. Lila bit down on one of her plaits. Her jaw was rigid with fear, but her gaze was steady. We've got to try, haven't we? There might be someone up there who can get us home. They moored the raft and picked their way through the jungle towards the cliff. The trees grew so thickly they had to force their way between them, and even though it was barely 200 metres, it took fully half an hour of hauling Max over tree trunks and navigating under branches lined with vicious thorns. Fred stood at the foot of the cliff and laid a hand on it. The rock was warm to touch and uneven. Good for finding handholds, he thought. The vines that coated it looked strong. He tugged on a handful of thin lianas. They didn't tear. See? It'll be just like climbing the rope at school in gym lessons, he said. It'll be simple. I hate climbing the rope, said Con. So no, actually, it's not simple. I could go up by myself, said Fred, and shout down what's up there. Lila shook her head. She looked suddenly much older than the rest of them, and stern. You never split up in unfamiliar territory, she said. We're coming with you. She unwound Backer from the crook of her elbow and settled him securely on the back of her neck, looping her plaits around his body to keep him moored, secure. But I can't carry Max. We'd both die. I can't take him on my back. I can take him on my back. Fred tried to banish any hint of doubt from his voice. Doesn't Max get to choose? Max says he won't, said Max. No, said Lila. The stern look became sterner. You don't get to choose. I almost never make you do things you don't want to do at home. Max, but you have to do this. No. Yes. We're going to tie you onto Fred with ropes so you won't fall, and you can cry if you want to, but it won't help, she said, as Max began to sob. Max didn't make the climbing easier. His mutinous weight threw Fred's normal climbing rhythm off, and it was a very slow ascent. He breathed loudly into Fred's ear and got spit in his hair, and he was heavy. Fred was aching before they were halfway up. He went first, with Con and Lila following his handholds. Twice he went the wrong way and had to shout down apologies as he retreated and moved sideways, agonizingly slowly, with Max's feet digging into his ribs. You have to shift backwards, but don't look down, he called to the girls. So we know from today's story, or the pages from today, what has happened so far. Well, they've had to climb this cliff. That was the only way they would keep progressing and find the X. So today we're going to think about vocabulary and how we can find the meaning of the words. So we're going to try this question together. And it says to look at the top of page 180. Find and copy one word that means the same as pulled. So we're going to think about our key words here. So we're thinking, is look a key word? And I can see, no, it's not telling me anything other than to look, and I know that I'd look anyway. But the top of page 180 is really important. This preposition top is really important because it means that I don't have to look at any of page 180 other than the top. And also I'm only looking for one word, and the word that I'm looking for a synonym of is pulled. Okay, so those are my key words for today. I can start to think, well, what words mean the same as pulled? Before I even look in the text, what words mean the same as pulled? And I know that words such as drag, heave, lug, these all mean the same as pulled. So I can start to think of these words when I'm looking through the text. Then I'm going to find page 180. And because I know it's at the top, and I know that I'm looking at page 180, I can start reading. Now, what type of word is pulled? Is it an adjective? No, it is a verb, isn't it? It's a doing word, an action. So when I come across an action at the top of page 180, I can start to think, does this mean the same as pulled? So I can see here that it starts in the middle of a sentence. So something cliff, and laid a hand on it. Laid is a verb. When you lay your hand on something, what are you doing? That's right, you're placing your hand on something. Is that pulling? No, it's not pulling, so we can read on. The rock was warm to the touch and uneven. Good for finding. Finding is a verb. Is that the same as pulled? If I find something, am I pulling something? No. He thought. The vines that coated. When we coat something, we are often maybe painting something or putting a layer on something. Is that pulling? No. It looked strong. He tugged on a handful of thin lianas. Tugged is a verb. When we tug something, what are we doing? Say we're tugging some rope. That means the same as pulled. So tugged would be the word that I can write there because it means the same as pulled. Can you see how I looked at the type of word it was? I found that in the text, and every time I came across a verb, I questioned what that word meant. Did it mean pulled? If it didn't, I'd keep reading. Then I found tugged. Now it's your turn, and this one's slightly different. So it's asking you what the word retreated means in this sentence. It says here, the sentence, and it gives you some options. You tick one. Okay, so pause the video now and have a think about answering this question, please. Off you go. Okay, how did you do? So, what does the word retreated mean in this sentence? Twice he went the wrong way and had to shout down apologies as he retreated and moved sideways. You might have highlighted one keyword here as retreated, and you might have also paused the video and found that in the text from today. So it says here, twice he went the wrong way and had to shout down apologies as he retreated and moved sideways. Now let's look at our options and consider, is it going to be this option? Does retreated mean jump in the air? Well, would we say twice he went the wrong way and had to shout down apologies as he jumped in the air and moved sideways? Now, considering where Fred is, he's climbing up a cliff, would he really want to jump in the air? No, we can say it's definitely not that one. Think about pull back then. So, twice he went the wrong way and had to shout down apologies as he pulled back and moved sideways. Could he have pulled back in this situation? Yes, he could have, because he went the wrong way. So he wouldn't continue moving forward, would he? Because he would have had to pull back and move sideways to go the right way. So that could be a contender for one of our answers. But let's read the following ones to see if it's right. Move forward. We've already said that Fred has gone the wrong way, so he wouldn't be moving forward. He would have definitely had to turn around or make that movement which suggests that he needs to go another way. So that could be pull back. And finally, would he drop to the floor? So twice he went the wrong way and had to shout down apologies as he dropped down to the floor and moved sideways. Considering how high he was up the cliff, would he have dropped down to the floor? No, he wouldn't. So which one of those would be the most sensible option? Pull back, yes. When you retreat, if you are retreating, you often move back and let someone else go or move back to do something else, okay? Your task today then is you've got a mixture of find and copy one word. So you've got to find and copy the word that we looked at together. And you've also got some multi-choice questions that we just looked at, okay? That is your task for today. Good luck, and I think you're going to be super at this. So you can either pause the video and complete it now, or wait till we've done the plenary and do it after. Okay, so the plenary today is thinking of this question. How could you work out the meaning of a word that you're unsure of? Pause the video and have a think, please. Okay, did you work it out? We could work out the meaning of a word you're unsure of by reading the question, really thinking about all the possibilities of that word. Thinking about where you've used that word before, so where you've had to pull something before, what you might have done instead of pull, such as tug or heave or lug. And then find the word in the text if it's asking you to locate the word in the text. And then really read around it to think of, well, what else could this word mean? And then hopefully you will arrive at your answer. Lots of requirements about thinking where you might have heard that word before, what context you might have used it. Okay. Have a lovely rest of your day, Year 4, and I will see you in our next lesson. Goodbye.